When your prayer is finally answered, can you handle it? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day 2 of the Torah portion, Miketz. Let's go back to chapter 41 of Bereshit, or Genesis. And it says in verse 14, Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his garments and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. Now I myself have heard it said of you that you understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. Let Elohim answer Pharaoh with peace. As we continue in the narrative, Pharaoh relates his 2 dreams, and Joseph rightly describes them as being one dream manifested in 2 different issues or 2 different shadows, prophetic pictures, and not only interprets the dreams, but then gives wisdom pertaining to how to move after the dream's reality comes to pass. It says then in verse 37, And the word was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, in the eyes of all of his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, Can we find another like him, a man in whom is the spirit of Elohim? And he said to Joseph, Since Elohim has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. Be over my house, you yourself, and at your mouth all my people shall kiss. Only in the throne am I greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have set you over all the land of Mitzrayim. Prayer was answered. A dream was being fulfilled, but not in the manner that Joseph had been anticipating. As we described yesterday, in my mind, more than likely, he was still trying to figure out, how am I going to get back home in order for my dream to become a reality? The reality is that our dreams and visions are tied up in other people's dreams and visions. We are all in this together. And so in America, we tend to think of the individual mind. It's about me as an individual, which is Greco-Roman mentality. Hebraic mindset says that we are a community and we all belong together. You are a part of the whole. In order for the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, to be benefited and to survive, and indeed the surrounding known world, to survive an impending famine, Yah is intentionally sending a famine. He gives them 7 years' notice so that they can prepare for 7 years of devastation. Yah did this in order to propel his servant Joseph to a primacy in the land, a place of superiority, a place of great prominence, in order to fulfill a vision at a level of grandeur and ability and power beyond all that Joseph could have imagined. Which leads me to a thought here. It could be, it's not always the case, but it could be that there is more to what you believe that Yah has sown in you than what it is that you're currently imagining. Yah uses our imagination. He feeds us enough information to where our minds get engaged and we begin to imagine. We dream. We have visions and sometimes prophetic visions of how things are supposed to go. We get these pictures. It's rare that Yah ever would say to someone, okay, here's picture 1, here's picture 2, and here's picture 3. See how they're all fitting together like nice little grooved pieces of the same puzzle. What we often get sometimes are 3 different pieces or multiple pieces of different puzzles, and we think they don't fit. Well, it's the intermediate parts that Yah supplies that leaves us with our mouths hung open and our eyes going, how did that happen? That's our master. That's the way he works. And we have to trust him for that. And so Joseph went to sleep in a dungeon, and he was dressed in prison clothes, maybe not had bathed for a while. And his role in life at that point was to administer to the needs of those who had offended Pharaoh. So one morning he wakes up in his prison clothes, going about his normal daily routine, expecting to sleep in the same bed that he went to sleep in the previous night, when suddenly, without any warning, he's grabbed, taken out of the prison. They bathe him. He shaved whatever facial hair he may have had. He is properly dressed. He may have even had the courtesan makeup put on. We don't know. And suddenly he is standing before Pharaoh. In a matter of an hour or so, perhaps, very quickly, he is completely reconditioned and remodeled to start in a completely different function, similar to what he's done, but again, at a much higher level. That night, in 24 hours period of time, Joseph is now going to bed in a palace, in a luxurious of that day room and bed. And if the narrative flows the way you read it, married. And he's to awaken the next morning to start the second highest level job in the entire country. The night before, he went to bed with other people telling him what to do, and now there is no one other than Pharaoh who is higher than him. The sudden propelling of ourselves into the roles that we are to step into can and obviously will be overwhelming. You never know what a day may bring, good or bad. I think of Shemot chapter number 3, Exodus chapter number 3, that says that Moshe, in verse 1, was shepherding the flock of Yitro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the back of the wilderness. He's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And came to Horeb, the mountain of Elohim, and the messenger of Elohim appeared to him in the flame of fire in the midst of a bush. And he looked, and the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. This sudden encounter, he's minding his own business, working for somebody else, and suddenly he's being propelled into a completely different role, one of the greatest roles humanity's ever fulfilled. And the book of Judges, chapter number 6, Gideon is threshing the wheat in a wine press. And verse 11, the messenger of Yahweh came, sat under the terebinth tree, which was in Orpah, which belonged to Joash the Abizarite, while his son Gideon threshed the wheat in a wine press to hide it from the eyes of the Midianites. And the messenger of Yahweh appeared to him and said to him, Yahweh is with you, you mighty brave man, you mighty one of Israel. Gideon was overwhelmed. What are you talking about? We're oppressed, and Israel's oppressed, and of the families of Israel, we're the least, and of all the least, I'm the bottom of the totem pole. There's no one in Israel lower than me. What do you mean, mighty brave man? When you go over to the book of Acts, chapter number 9, it says, Rashul was still breathing threats and murder against the taught ones of the master, having come to the high priest and asked for letters for the congregation of Damascus. He was going to arrest people. And it came to be that as he went, suddenly a light flashed around him from the heavens, and he fell to the ground, and Yeshua starts calling him. Sudden propelling of ourselves into levels of function beyond our imagination. What's going to be on the next phone call? What's going to happen in the next news report? Who's going to knock on your door? What's going to take place? Keep yourself ready. Be prepared for any and everything. Trust him And let's see what happens. And I'll see you again tomorrow. To then, shalom.